This summer has indeed been strange, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We got so many wonderful things to cover in this video. Obviously being a little bit sarcastic, considering all the things going on currently. We have a Bank of America, apparently losing everybody's money. We'll get into that one. We got Hollywood actress Jamie Lee Curtis with a interesting thing we're going to show you in a second here. Jerome Powell might actually be out soon here. Might be fired. Maybe we'll even end the Fed before we get that, list. Honestly, I'm starting to think that. We're going to get into that topic as well, of course. And actually, we got a ton of other stuff. I got some mind-blowing stuff to show you. You're going to see this on some of the other channels. They don't want to show you some of the stuff I'm going to show you. And we also have John MacArthur died. I'm going to get into that at the end. Let's just get going here. We have here Jamie Lee Curtis uploaded this photo and said nobody knows which is her daughter is trans and which one isn't. Can you tell the difference? Which one's the trans? What? It's pretty funny, some of the comments underneath it. Let's see, what do we have? Maybe the one that looks like a melting gummy bear. I think she's referring to the one on the left. What else do we got? Helen Keller could tell. Yeah, I think it's a little bit obvious which one might be trans. I don't know. Just a little bit obvious. We have here Bank of America apparently losing everyone's money, and it's, the most ridiculous part is what they tell them when they're in the branch. Check this out.
So I'm a Bank of America, and everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money, over $1,300, and they're telling me to call customer service. And they keep hanging up on people. This another person here is also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today, and we need our money. And they're already telling us to call customer service, and customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So
this was actually posted by Assange, saying, it's kind of ironic. You're actually in the bank. Why would you have to call customer service? You're literally in the bank. That is the customer service. Obviously, they don't even know where the money went. Just another glitch, of course. I'm wondering how many more glitches we're going to have this year like that. Oh, I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of strange things, my friends. We have Kim Clement calling this Strange July, and if this isn't the strangest July yet, I don't know what is. The list saga is only getting more bizarre. We'll get into that in a minute here. Looks like Jerome Powell's going to be out very soon here. It's so ridiculous that we're now seeing things actually happen in some respects with, kind of cleaning house, but it's on small levels. And of course, the huge elephant in the room is being ignored. I don't mind them getting rid of Jerome Powell. I love this. I love this. Let's get rid of Jerome Powell. Let's get rid of the Fed. Sounds great to me. I'm totally on board with that. I'm totally on board with the tariffs. Great stuff. I like they're prosecuting, of course, the whole, Russia thing, gate, right? Sounds great. I'm all on board with that. But, there's an elephant right here that you're ignoring. And we'll get into that in a minute. The list, of course. And by the way, it's getting more strange. It's getting, and we got some interesting developments in that respect. We got some prophetic word. It's going to give you chills. Give you chills. This stuff was all told about beforehand. Kim Clement told us about it. But look at this. This is what's happening now as well. Apparently, a certain country there in the Middle East, talking about this one right here, blowing, of course, up a building in Syria. This is literally the Ministry of Defense. Look at this thing. Look at that. And you just can't help but see some of these connections between all of this stuff. All of a sudden, certain things are not allowed anymore to be talked about. Certain things are okay. And it all seems to surround that list. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Let me show you this clip from Kim Clement, 2014. This will give you chills. Just how accurate it is. Check this out.
There's an uncovering. However, there is an uncovering of great evil. And I will start from the top. I have shaken the Democrats and will shake the Republicans even more. But remember,
you just hear what he said, even more. even more. And who's blocking all this? Who's blocking the release? Oh, look at this. Oh, it's the Republicans. Oh, that's so weird. Maybe there's just a weird chance that just as many Republicans went to, of course, that island as maybe on the other side of the aisle. Now, what's so bizarre is you got a bunch of Democrats now coming out saying, hey, release it. Of course, ironically, the ones saying release it, actually a couple of them voted against it. They'll say one thing out of their mouth, and they're actually doing things in the background that are literally the opposite. Like, it's just interesting. The whole thing, it's like they know it's not going to be coming out, so like they're just like, oh yeah, release. They know it's not coming out, and they don't want it to come out. So it's just this weird, reverse psychology thing they're doing. It makes me even more think that like all these dudes are going there, like everyone. Like, okay, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna get into all that. And we got a lot more to get into. I'm going to show you stuff you ain't going to see on any of the other channels because they won't want to play it. They're not going to show you this stuff. CoffeeZilla found some stuff that you're going to want to see that none of the guys on the right are going to show you. I'm going to show you that in a second here. We got Billy Boy, the computer guy, Gates. We got lots of other interesting stuff to get into. Peter Thiel. Pretty much anybody and everybody apparently, of course, related to this whole thing. And we got tons of other stuff. First of all, I got to mention food supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description. 3 months worth for $4.97. You're going to definitely want to get this if you have not already. You can see how things are shaping up. Not looking too hot right now. It's not getting better. Just when you think it's going to get better, it seems like it's kind of like just more like this. A little bit better, a little bit worse, bigger, better, bigger, worse. It's like shaking, like things are falling apart, rattling at the seams. A structure of our whole GOV could be gone soon here if this list comes out. I'm starting to think. Might want to get prepared for whatever that might be. Get this book here, The Lost Ways, how your great-great-grandfather lived without electricity, how to build a cellar, do things around the house as they did in the old days, like you might soon hear. Who knows? $37, get the printed version. And, of course, if you're interested in investing in our game, Noah VR, link is in the description. We still have shares left. We have a number of different options. We have a $400 option that's an investment. We also have a $1,500 option, a $35 option for beta tester when the game comes out. The $400 option is an investment opportunity where you actually get seat to where you get 33% of the profits. And I think we have about 139 seats left. There was 150, and now we've already sold at least 11 of them, from what I understand. I can't remember. He told me two different numbers, and I'm not sure where it's at. It's like 139, 138, 140, somewhere in there. But there's still quite a few left. So if you're interested, link is in the description for that. And, of course, you will get to be part of the pool of people, which is about 750 total, that will gain 33% of the profits when the game releases. On top of that, we have big potential donators already giving into the game that are wanting this game to go forward. So, and they're not even part of this investment opportunity. So, at any rate, link is in the description for that. Let's get back to the video. So we have here, check this out. This is so crazy. This is on CoffeeZilla. It's about, of course, the file. And it's interesting kind of how this is all playing out and how some are not showing you the entire picture.
It's pretty boring stuff. It's sorted, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
See the guy laughing.
Credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
So there you hear it. Now, to some of you, the copium's going to set in. You're going to say, hey, he said the credible information, we can release it. We should
Okay, so you saw the guy laughing, right? Just keep that in mind.
Release it, and we'll talk about that. But they also say in the same interview, we already released the credible information.
And the credible information has been given.
So if it's already been given, they're not going to give you more stuff. Now,
So he said we're going to release the credible information, but then in the exact same interview, he said we already did, which was those binders, which already had information in it that we've had for years. So basically, so far they've released zero new evidence from what I can tell. Well, I think there's a little bit of new stuff in there. There wasn't a lot. There was very little. A lot of it was stuff that had already been on the internet. Then apparently, you saw the guy smiling and laughing next to him when he said fake news. You might want to know who that guy is. I was kind of wondering myself. I was like, who is that guy? Oh, let me show you who he is. Apparently, he lived right next door to Jeffrey. Oh, that's kind of weird. A spy pointed out the location may have been too close for comfort as Howard's enormous townhouse touches Jeffrey's larger townhouse. Apparently, they were good buddies that lived right next to each other. So the dude standing next to our president, laughing about this entire thing, literally was the neighbor of Jeffrey. No joke. This guy right here that starts laughing was his neighbor. His neighbor. Why is that guy hanging around a president? Might want to ask that question. It's a good question to ask. I don't know. What else do we have on that dude? Apparently, okay, so what do we got? Howard Lutnick, who bought the adjacent smaller townhouse owned by Victoria's Secret parent brands, where Jeffrey previously lived. Now, interesting about the whole Victoria's Secret parent company or brands, I remember seeing this movie about Mark Zuckerberg in his rise to power, creating Facebook, right? He like ripped off the Winklevoss twins or something like that, and then just made his own website. And then he was hanging around that Napster dude, the guy who created Napster. And the Napster guy was talking about what happened to the guy that was the CEO of Victoria's Secret and how he died in a very strange manner and had a lot of theories. And he was really paranoid about it. And apparently Mark was friends with this guy, Napster guy. I have a funny feeling there's some weird connection here. I don't know. Just have a weird, funny feeling about it. Of course, then we have Alex here saying that apparently our president is going to excommunicate anyone that continues to question this. This is not looking good. Now, I don't think he actually went there. I don't think our president actually went, of course, to the island. But from what I can tell, what I think is going on is he's got way too many friends or people he knows, or maybe he thinks the entire GOP is going to be gone if we actually get all this out. Like, there's too many things that are connected to him that are liable, I think. And I'm guessing it's probably most of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. I'm just going to take a wild guess that, like, you're going to see the whole thing. It's going to be like that. Like way too many people were involved, is my theory. Now, here you have Billy Boy the Computer Guy Gates. Check this out.
On a private island in international waters as part of an intel op, and we were all having a great time with it, and then you caught us. And in order to shut you up and shut up your questions, we're just going to murder him and then hang his body from the castle walls. Listen to this.
You know, I've said I regretted having those dinners.
Yeah, right, dude.
There's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead. So, you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
Look at him smile. These guys are all the same. They literally have no, like, moral bone in their body or something. It's just like a joke to them. It's like, look, I got away with it, and I can laugh at you over it now. Just like the guy standing next to our president laughing. Literally the neighbor of the guy. Like, seriously, I'm thinking he's got our president's, balls in some sort of, you know what I mean? Like, they got him by him. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Okay. I think literally they got something on, I don't know what it is. I don't think he went to the island. I really don't believe he did. Because if he did, I think we would have learned about it a decade ago. Because they wouldn't even have let him get into office. If they really didn't want him in, they could have easily used that. That was the entire point of the island. Was literally to use stuff like that against people. Obviously. So the fact Look at Benny's face. My goodness. So the fact that they never used it on him means he didn't go. But what I'm guessing is there must be a lot of other things that, friends, family, whatever, something's going on here. I don't know what it is. They got him though. He's just got to like nip it in the bud and just let it release. And if it cascades the whole GOV, I don't care, dude. Because honestly, I'm sick of all this corruption. It's beyond ridiculous at this point. Some are even say Jeffrey is still alive. I don't know if that's the case or not. There's weird theories about that there was some unmarked van that picked him up that day. I don't know, dude. Who knows? They won't show us anything anyways. Their cameras were broke, right? Whatever. So then we got Joe Rogan here, finally coming out and saying something new about this ever since this all started. And he did this in a recent, I think it was yesterday. Check this out.
They've got videotape and all of a sudden they don't. You got the director of the FBI on this show saying there's no, if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why did they say there was thousands of hours? So there's nothing you're looking for. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to push back.
Right. No, of course. I understand.
Obviously,
I understand.
He's saying what he has to say.
Yeah, because he is told to say it, right? Of course, no one trusts these people now, right? They all talked a big game. Cash talked for years how he's going to do all this stuff. Everyone thought he was like the top dog, will do something no matter what. I even thought that for a long time. The dude doesn't do anything. Literally nothing. What a joke. As far as I'm concerned, what a joke. And, of course, we actually have more. We have more. Obviously, this, again, reminds me of this movie with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. Because this was literally about that, of course, island, this movie. About those at the top with their strange, of course, parties and all the things they did. And apparently everyone and anyone was caught up in this. Even Peter Thiel got some of his original investment money from Jeffrey. It's like this is what I'm thinking. Like literally all the titans in business, all the bigger major players in the GOV. Like I'm thinking like all the major players across the entire sector of society is going to be caught in this, is my thinking. Now, even scientists were there. Hollywood people were there. Everyone was there. It's like ridiculous. And of course, Peter Thiel's the one telling us how we got to stop the Antichrist while he's building stuff for the Antichrist. I mean, it's total irony, right? These people are, and I kind of wonder how narcissistic a lot of these people are. Like they don't literally care about anything. They're just trying to pretend to be something while they get what they want. Now, regarding our president, what is he doing? Well, it sounds like the very obvious thing is some of his friends or whatever are caught up in this. And he's just trying to stop it from coming out. Although before he said he's going to release it. But now it seems like he's getting way too much pressure from the public. And he's going to have to release something. And I'm thinking he's going to. The reason why I think he's going to is because maybe he's thinking in the background, I'm going to have to do this no matter what if I want this our movement to continue going forward. And there's also a factor of him having sort of a plan B. Plan B, he could argue that, we didn't want to release the list yet because of defamation lawsuits, civil liability, undermining due process, because they don't have everything set up yet. And I can show proof of that. So they might be doing two things at the same time. Where did the document go? I had a document. Where did it go? No. Well, it had to do with Pam Bondi. Basically, she told the court that they're still going through the files, but then tells the public that there are no files. Let's see if I can go pull that up. And this was also what this man here said. And he's an expert, former FBI. He used to work in this exact area doing these type of cases. And he said that likely they're trying to rebuild the case because a lot of the evidence was, tampered with or destroyed. And that seems to be kind of lining up with this article, which I, for some reason, don't have open. I thought I had open. Yeah, here it is. I think I got it right here. Wait, do I have it? I have to type in the website too, I think, because they don't want to show the website. Oh, wonder why. Here it is. Here we are. I found it. I've shown this before. Tells court it's still reviewing records for potential release. So they were doing that at the exact same time that they were saying there were none. So that would indicate that they're talking out of both sides of the mouth. Maybe that's like a plan B is being set up while they're trying to go with plan A. Plan A is to squash this. Don't let anybody talk about it. Let's just let this go under the rug because there's too much fallout. Plan B, if we can't do that, we're going to just release it, but we got to make sure we have everything, all the ducks lined up in a row. This is kind of my theory on what they're doing. I guess we'll see what happens. In the meantime, they're trying to do other things. You have apparently looking into that whole Russia thing and the 2020, of course, election. You got that going on. You got the auto pen stuff going on. A lot of people are talking about all this stuff. It looks like maybe even Fauci might be liable, right? So that's some good news. So there are things moving forward that, we would be all ecstatic about if they weren't trying to deny the whole list. I think a lot of people would be very happy about these, but the fact that you're wondering what's going on with the list, you're like, wait a second, right? So you do have some things happening. And they were trying to do this to sort of like to appease us. And of course, it didn't work. A lot of people are still wondering what's going on with the list, right? Then we got this story. We have John MacArthur apparently died, I think yesterday or today, last night or this morning. And of course, for me, it's kind of, for me, the fact was I liked him a long time ago, like 25 years ago. I'm not going to try to say a bunch of bad stuff about the dude. He had a lot of good things about him. He had a lot of good qualities. One thing I really liked about him is that his presentation of the gospel, I think, was legit. I think also his standing up against the lockdowns. I thought that was awesome. Standing up, of course, against same-sex marriage. So those things were all legit things he did. And I used to like his stuff way back in the old days, like 25 years ago. I used to actually use his commentary and stuff. But within the last 15 years, he started saying some really messed up stuff. Or I'm not going to say messed up. Not good things. Let's just put it that way. Why I say messed up, I don't know. He said that there were no miracles. He had this whole strange fire thing he put on this conference 10 years ago, saying there was no miracles, which is completely wrong. Then he also said you could take the mark and then still get saved afterwards, which was really, really a bizarre thing to say and just flat out weird and messed up. Obviously not true. So to me, it just seemed weird. Some of those things he said later in his life that just made no sense, because he seemed like such a good guy before that. But he, at least the way he presented the gospel seemed legit. And, here we have him with Kirk Cameron doing that in this clip here, talking about substitution, how he substituted for our sins on the cross. And I think also you can look at it as Christ victorious over sin. That's another way to look at it when it comes to salvation. Of course, he believed in what they call lordship salvation. And what's really interesting about all this, I'm not trying to get into a big theological thing here. I'm going to probably get into it more on my other channel, but I'm not a Calvinist at all. I'm not Catholic. I just say I'm a Christian. And I tend to go with more Orthodox type of thinking, which is the Orthodox Church, although I'm not Orthodox. But I also go with some Protestant ideas as well. But I'm going to get into that in more detail over my other channel, because there's actually something really big about this. It actually relates to our entire society. Because if you look into like Martin Luther, John Calvin, and this concept called nominalism, this nominalism is what led to our society today falling apart, I believe. And the first step started with the Reformation, even though the Reformation had some legitimate points, which it did actually. Otherwise, the Council of Trent of the Catholic Church wouldn't have had an answer to it. So it's like you have this problem on both sides, and neither one really had the right solution per se, and it led to a lot of problems. This nominalism is sort of a philosophical concept where, if I went through this whole thing, it'll seem boring, but I'm going to just go to the bottom and kind of show you what's going on, and show you like a real world example in our world right now that relates to this. Okay? Here's a real world example. Think of the word nation. Does the United States exist as a real abstract entity, or is it just a name we give to a bunch of people, land, laws, and customs? Now, nominalism would tell you it's the latter, that it's just a bunch of people, land, laws, and customs, doesn't really exist in reality. And this is why people are very individualistic. This is why our society is falling apart. A 3-string chord is much stronger than a 1-string chord. So if people do not unite together and they're all individualistic, then the evil can all unite together and defeat us. It's kind of the concept. And this nominalism led to us thinking this way, to where we don't even look at a nation as a real thing. We look at it as just a bunch of people, lands, laws, and customs. Well, what does it matter? Who cares? Kind of attitude, which leads to things like, there is no such thing as universal ideas. There is no such thing as a man or a woman. There is no such thing as marriage between a man and a woman. So this nominalism is a cancer that came in through the Reformation and literally went in and spread into these other ideas of where we don't even think we're a nation anymore. We don't know if we're a man or a woman, and we don't get married because we don't know what marriage is anymore. So this is, and I could go through this whole thing and explain it, but the idea was that John Calvin and Martin Luther went with this philosophical concept of saying things like this, where, like, for example, do universals exist? They didn't accept universal ideas. So is there a such thing as dogs? All dogs, or dogness. Is there a such thing as dogness? They would say no. But a realist or a scholastic would say yes. Like Plato would say, yeah, there are things, dogs. There's a thing like dogs. But for a nominalist, they would say there's a German Shepherd, there's a Poodle, there's a Chihuahua, but there is no such thing as dogness. So that's kind of the idea. And you see that with the nation word. You see it with the concept of a man and a woman. You see it with the concept of marriage, where you can just define anything the way you want it to because it's just terms. There is no such thing as a real institution of marriage. It's just whatever we make it into. There is no such thing as a real concept where God created nations. No, it's just whatever we say it is. And it takes it from God's hands, or God's understanding of universals, and says it's in man's hands. And man gets to decide what's what. We get to decide who we are. And this leads into humanism, or just trans, or anything, where you decide whatever you want about anything. And I'm my own God. I can do whatever I want. This is kind of where this ideas came in. Of course, it came in very subtle, and it led into all that. And it came in through Luther and Calvin. And of course, John MacArthur is a Calvinist, although he's a better Calvinist because he believes correctly about faith. But I'm going to get into that in the other video. But then you have, of course, just to give you an example, if you look at Martin Luther and some of his teachings, he said some of the most ridiculous things you ever heard in your life. A lot of people don't even know any of this. I look upon God no better than a scoundrel. This was something he wrote. He said that Jesus committed, of course, adultery. He said this with the woman in the well. Of course he didn't do that. He said really ridiculous stuff, and no one seems to know about this. A lot of Lutherans have no clue about any of this. He said some of the most ridiculous things you ever heard in your life. And how did this guy become so powerful and have an entire church named after him? I don't know. But he did say a lot of these things. And of course, anyway, I'm going to get into that more on my other channel. And of course, a lot of people are like, well, they have 3 choices. You got Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, right? And the thing is there's a lot of issues with the Catholic Church as well. And this is why Mel Gibson, for example, isn't literally, or hasn't been, and maybe he's changed his mind because of Pope Leo XIV, but he was not part of the Catholic Church. He was sort of a separatist Catholic Church because of all the problems in the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, because they put one man in charge of the entire church, unlike the Orthodox, where they have a balance of powers, where they have bishops, and if one bishop gets off track, the other ones kick him out, which you can't do that with a pope. You can't kick him out if he gets off track. So that's another thing. But anyway, I'm going to get into that more on my other channel. You got concepts like Superman. You got this new movie, Superman, where it's like the devil is trying to bring back concepts that people don't understand. that it's all underlying in the mind. And of course, this relates to something Nietzsche put out, Superman or Uberman. And I'll get into that in my other video as well. But I wanted to mention, just go check out the links below, and thanks for watching.